Welcome to this episode of In Conversation With. Today I'm joined by Francesca Carlesi, the CEO and co-founder of Molo Finance. Thanks for spending a bit of time to chat to me today.
Thank you, David. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So look, first of all, before we get into anything else, who are Molo Finance?
Yeah, so Molo Finance is a digital mortgage lender in UK. So we are a fintech company now 3 years old who launched in the market with a view to disrupt mortgages and bring mortgages to the 21st century at last.
So look, fintech as a term has probably been around for about a decade. You launched 3 years ago. Why did it take so long for the fintech market to wake up, maybe not wake up, but to turn its attention to mortgages?
Well, I think wake up is the right terms, to be honest. So I think it's a question I actually asked myself when I started the company, and I kept thinking why this has not happened yet. Considering that mortgage is the largest part of financial services, is a core need of everybody as a mortgage, and it's the most fundamental financial need. I think that the answer, lies in two things mostly. I think one, actually probably three, right? So one is first, mortgage is a complex product, so it's quite difficult. Okay, so it's not as easy as digitizing other products. When you issue a mortgage, when you lend for a mortgage, you need to assess property, to assess individuals. There are a lot of things that go into that, so it's a very complex product. So probably it's not the immediate low-hanging fruit, let's say. I think second, and probably the same relevance, is that not only is it very complex, but it's probably one of the most heavily regulated products in the world. So not only in UK, right? So it comes with a lot of compliance, a lot of regulation for one fundamental reasons. When you get a mortgage, typically because you want to buy a house, having a house is a fundamental need. So the regulator wanted to make sure that there is, the kind of borrowers are really super protected and they kind of are not exposed to any risk. So because of that, there's a lot of compliance around it and it's more difficult to digitize. But then I think the third reason, which is probably the primary one really, is that simply speaking, it was not possible. Until 2 or 3 years ago, it was not possible. I mean, a lot of the things that are allowing us to give our customer much smoother journey have come up in the last 2 or 3 years. If I think about in terms of technology development, things like being able to call data instantly through APIs, the ability to look at data from a customer point of view through open banking. These are all developments that happened recently, even digital IDMV. So if you just take out these things, I think it would be very difficult to even make it happen.
What are the main friction points when you're trying to put this product together? Because if I think about fintech and I think about mobile banking, for example, I got a checkbook through the post from Barclays a few days ago. I hadn't seen a checkbook in about 10, 15 years. I wondered, what the hell am I going to do with this thing? No one takes checks anymore, do they? And I remember when checks, you used to pay it and it was like 5 days to clear. And you kind of think, well, why? You can send a bank transfer now to someone instantly, and it's bizarre if the money doesn't simply appear. What were the friction points with mortgages that make you say, well, it wasn't possible 2 or 3 years ago, that now actually has changed?
Yeah, I think so. Well, there are many. I think mostly kind of 3 types of friction points, right? So one is when you lend for a mortgage, it's a big amount of money. So you're giving out a lot of money, right? It's not 10 pounds or even the 10,000 pounds. So you want to make sure you're giving it to the right person. So this is a typical credit assessment, right? So for a mortgage, the depth of information that you need to have and the breadth of information you need to have is a lot. And typically, you didn't have all these informations available in a digital format until some time ago. In any way. So these are things about your, disposable income, your recent account transaction, your income, pay slip, and things like that. There is really a lot. So you couldn't really access them digitally. So then you had to rely on a lot of paperwork, a lot of actually faxes even, that were sent and are still used, by the way. So this is one area where you do need to do a thorough assessment. Data were not available digitally, so you had to go through a very convoluted and manual process through paperwork, exchanges of paper, right? I think the second friction point is about assessing the property. So, and this is very unique to mortgages, right? So at the end, it's not enough that you're lending money to the right person, but the property is critical because it's the collateral for the loan. So you need to be able to make sure that that property not only really exists, but it's in good conditions and has the right value that you are assessing. All of these things, again, is a lot of data, not available digitally until some time ago, not reliable at all, unless you send somebody there to physically knock at the door and actually take a look, which if you think about it, I mean, it's still happening right now, but yeah, it sounds like not very technological, right? And then I think the third one is, honestly, is all the legal work. And I have to say that it's probably not 100% yet fixed. When you sign for a mortgage, you probably sign tens and a lot of pages of paper and contracts, the mortgage deed and so on. You need to validate a lot of legal titles of the property. So all of these things are really manual still, and they're still, very difficult to digitize. So this is another part of the process that has kept it so slow and kept it so manual for such a long period of time.
So kind of what you're describing is an incredibly complex product. It's not like a bank account where it's one single product. You've got all of these various different moving parts. And yet here is technology beginning to disrupt that market. As someone who's kind of gone through that process and seen how tech can begin to relieve some of those friction points, do you look at other areas, maybe outside of finance, where you go, you know what, this is overdue, and it's taking time, where maybe there would be a solution from technology that could really help?
Yeah. Well, I continuously have ideas. I think in my job, probably that's a little bit what I do. And I think the sky is the limit in terms of, I think continuously, the more you innovate, the more you find new frontiers to innovate. I think in general, though, I think maybe I can mention two things. So I think the whole world of law, so legal in general, now it does connect a bit to what I just mentioned before, but I just am surprised sometimes how anything you do which has to do with a lawyer in life is still operating like it was operating 30 years ago. So I think the whole legal work, and maybe there will be a legal tech at a certain point, it should be done better, because even if you do a transaction, you're using documents that you could actually automate a lot of that. So I think somebody will come and digitize law eventually, and I think that's a big deal, right? So I think there is a big opportunity there if you know how to do it, which probably nobody has cracked it yet. And then maybe it's less revolutionary, but I do think there's a big opportunity to improve or evolve. And I don't know if it's a lot about technology, but a bit it is in education. So I'm very big fan of education in general. A lot of things are happening. I think it's less about the use of technology. It's more about innovating the way people learn. So, but it's a complete different world, right? Very far away from mortgages, I must say.
Look, just one last thing to kind of question on that front, because disruptors coming into an industry obviously provide huge amounts of benefit for the customer, but I suppose at the same time, you're challenging norms. When you do that, whilst you're providing a better service for customers, is there that aspect of, just because we can implement technology, are we doing the right thing? We can move fast, we can break this, we can provide a better customer service, but what does that necessarily mean for the industry that we're coming into and disrupting?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I think, so let me maybe start from one premise. So even if we see ourselves as a technology company and we are in tech, and technology is at the heart of what we do, for me, technology is a means to an end. Right. So the reality, Molo was not born because we wanted to build a fantastic tech platform that, and make it work. So it was born because we were trying to solve some customers' problems. So we're there to make the customer experience much better, faster, better, cheaper eventually. And one of the things we do that, leveraging the power of technology, right? So I think it's always very important to keep in mind what the ultimate goal is. And for us, it's about customer experience a lot. And technology helps a lot. So typically what I have found, David, is that these two things are a win-win. So you can give much better outcomes to customers, even at lower cost, with a very fast and innovative process, and everybody's happier. So I haven't met yet any trade-offs, if that's what you're pointing at, in terms of the industry, unless you have specific things in mind. Maybe, for example, I want to mention, I'm happy to to react. So typically what I'm saying is a positive change for the ecosystem as well. Also because, let me mention one thing, I think when you innovate and you do something that's not been done, typically you're an agitator in the room. So you are effectively shaking things up, and some other people will realize, well, maybe we need to innovate as well. And live in a competitive environment where a lot of people try to innovate, at the end drives positive systemic impact for the customers, for everybody, right? So far, I see this more as a virtual circle rather than not.
So look, you're a female CEO and you're working in two sectors that are dominated by men, in finance and in technology. Have you ever felt pressure to change the way in which you conduct business because of that? So
I would say a little bit yes, but let me start from one belief, right? So I think I've always believed, and I still do, and I always recommend to any, girl starting their career right now, I always believe that I think if you are, smart, driven, you work hard, you will achieve what you want to achieve. Now, there will be bumps in the road, but you will do it. And this is not, regardless of the gender in a way. So I think this has guided me a lot, right, in my career. So, however, we cannot be in denial. I think there is no doubt to learn that it's more difficult sometimes for women. It actually takes more effort. Let me put it this way, right? To get to the same place, it takes a bit more effort. It shouldn't be the case. So yes, when you realize that, you do realize that potentially there is a natural instinct to align to the norms of behavior that are more common in your industry, right? So, and that happens. I think, a little bit probably has happened to me when I was working more in banking, because I was younger, more, subject to influence. You look at role models. Typically, your role models are mostly men's because, that's a majority. And so you try to conform. So I think a little bit, yes. I have to say today, I have in a slightly different space, because I feel you come to a point in your career where you actually are quite more also confident of who you are, how you want to do things, and then you kind of are able to have your own personality and be a little bit less influenced. But I think there is no doubt that I think there is a little bit of pressure at different stages, in different industries.
And do you think that has to do as much with gender as just kind of coming into a traditional industry and wanting to disrupt it? I suppose, we'll get onto leadership a little bit later, but it is interesting, isn't it, that I could see a situation whereby some of the skills that you inherently have as a female actually are positive, and yet, as you say, you go into a banking environment, most of your role models are men, and you might lose some of that along the way.
Yes, absolutely. I think there is a risk. And by the way, I think the world has changed a lot, right? So I started my career actually in consulting, which was also very, asymmetric, let me say, as an industry. And I think the world has really changed. I think you're right. So I think there is so much value for maintaining a diverse set of skill set, right? And recognizing the diversity and value of both of them, that it should not be lost. But unfortunately, it depends where you are. In some environments don't make it easy to kind of be more authentic, right, as a woman. I really think that actually banking has gone a long way in that direction. I think tech is the next industry that needs to do some steps forward, right? Because here is where there are still a lot of stereotypes, there is a lot of cooptation, gender bias, and so on. And I think it's a pity, because that doesn't reflect meritocracy. So I fully agree with you.
You referenced there the fact that technology still has a long way to go. I've worked at Harvey Nash Group for 13 years. In those 13 years, the data around the number of women participating in the industry hasn't changed. It was amazing to see so many people involved in International Women's Day, and there being so much buzz this year. But despite the buzz, over the course of that time, figures, as I say, remain the same. So how can we genuinely get more women involved in the industry to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of things can be done, but I think real things should be done rather than cosmetics, right? So, and you're right, especially the last International Women's Day, there's been a lot of positive momentum in my view. I think we need to distinguish between things that are not going to move the needle and things that actually will do. So from my point of view, what can be done? I think it's a lot is in the hands of people that take decisions. So effectively, all, you know, in a company who sits on the board or is CEO of a company, venture capitals, investors in venture capital, they should, all the people that are in decision-making position, it all starts from one thing, to make sure that they really recognize the importance and value diversity. It really means deeply, okay? And not just as one of those nice things to do to tick the box. Mm. I think once this happens, there are some actions you can put in place to facilitate this. And for me, there are probably mostly three, right? So one is to, I would say, instead of trying to create positive bias, eliminate the negative ones, right? And I think that is a subtle difference. What I mean by that is that there is a lot of talks, as you've seen as well, right? Okay, about women, female founders, or, you know, trying to create initiative to get women together. So, but the reality, you should not apply different yardsticks, right? At the end, you want to look for great founders, for example, in tech, and that's it. And then you want to make sure that you create a level playing field, right? So instead of creating a specific category that you need to invest in women, just say, I want great founders, but then I will not apply. I will try to take out all the filters. There's a really negative bias that typically there are. I think to do that, there is only one way, which is to get more people in the decision-making positions. And it's natural, right? At the end, I think we're all biased when we take decisions. We all tend to co-opt people that are similar to us. You know, I'm Italian. Maybe if I meet another Italian person, I tend to get along quite well. So there is only one way, which is to make sure that there is diversity there where the decisions are taken. And unfortunately, it's about making sure, you know, at board level, management team level, investment committee level for venture capital, there are women that could compensate or actually offer a different point of view when making decisions, when hiring people, when making investments. And I think related to this, I think the other thing that is needed is to take a little bit more proactive action. Proactive actions, I mean, so things will not happen by itself, right? So when I do some hiring, typically the majority of, CVs are received. There are very few women, you know, female kind of applications. So you probably need to try and make sure you have the ability to assess both. So go proactively look for people to hire that are women, proactively look for founders that are women, and then of course assess them in a very fair way, no? But at least make sure there is the level of diversity. So at least I think these three things could help a lot.
So look, girls outperform boys in science and maths at school. But then so few seem to carry it through to further education and higher education. Without going into why we think that is, I think that's a much longer debate. But what would you say to, say, a 15-year-old girl who's fantastic at science and maths, but maybe isn't thinking about continuing studying those subjects?
I think that's the major problem, because what not many people know, but right now has been also studies, that one of the main reasons why there are a lot of amazing women in university, but very few women working in tech, for example, afterwards, is because there's a lot of opting out, which is effectively women themselves kind of not moving forward. What I would say is mostly two things. So one is to say, in a way, lean in. So be self-confident, go for it. Don't be held back because you think you're not right, because somebody told you, you know, that engineers are only men or things like that. Just go for it. Be bullish, because women often are a little bit less self-confident than men. So a little bit of a push should help, I think. And that I would really like to tell to every great girl out there right now that is thinking, should I go for this or not? Just go for it. You know, at the end, probably you find out you actually are better than you think. And the second thing would be to kind of be done overthinking, right? I think one of the reasons why there is a lot of opting out is also because women always have the family in mind, which is good. It's fundamental, right? Family is important. But that doesn't mean that is a choice. And you'll be surprised, but there is there's still a lot of people that still think are really biased, or they're very influenced by their upbringing, thinking of if I go into a career that's quite demanding, I might not be able to focus on the family. And doesn't need to be a choice anymore today. So don't worry about it. You'll be able to do both, because you'll have a lot of supportive men that will help you doing that.
So you lead a business which would be described as digital first. What skills do you look for as a consequence?
So you'd be surprised. A lot of the skills I look for, they're not necessarily digital all the time or hard skills. So let's say on the hard skill side, for sure, there are a few things I always look for. Number one for me is numeracy. So seems quite strange, but analytical mindset, ability to deal with numbers, to extrapolate insights from numbers is super important, because in reality it's important whatever you do. And then that type of mindset allows you to do coding, allows you to do problem solving and anything. And then, of course, depending on the role, we look for different skills, right? If you're hiring engineers, we need to, coding is quite important, of course, but it's not the same everywhere. Design is also quite an important skill in this moment. But these are also specific to a role. More in general, I think the minimum common denominator of things that we really look for in people are things that are soft skills, which I think are even more important. For me, it's about ownership, so drive, so ability to take something and go kind of bring it to the end and not kind of let go, which is quite correlated to resilience and grit as well. So having some kind of drive that allows you to kind of pick something and go make it happen, right? Have the ability to make it happen and without being discouraged by difficulties, that's quite important. I would say problem solving. Problem solving is fundamental. More and more, we all face every day problems that nobody solved before. So there is not a book, right? There's not somewhere where you go and look it up. You need to be able to face a new problem and find a solution and kind of in a creative way as well. This goes also with a little bit of thought leadership. So be able to think about the future in a way that is a little bit innovative and creative. I think creativity is one of the skills of the future, in my view. And the final thing, which is not a skill, but I will mention anyway, I look for humility. So big egos, big kind of don't work. I mean, now this is very specific, but I do think, especially in the future and in the environments we work today, it's all about collaboration, it's all about team play, and it's all about desire and ability to keep learning in a way. You mentioned creativity. Sorry to jump in, but when you say kind of creativity, that's quite broad, but I think it's quite interesting at the same time. In terms of attributes that you think are going to be most valuable in 5 or 10 years, do you think creativity trumps a lot of other skills that maybe we look for today? I think so. Yeah. I think, there are other things, but I think creativity is one of the skills of the future. So if you think where we are heading, right? So a lot of things will be automated, a lot of tasks, and honestly, a lot of jobs that were out there in the past, they can be automated in the future. So there are only few things that you cannot really automate and that will really stand out. And I think creativity, ability to merge together, yes, a numerical mindset with a ability to appreciate, for example, design, right? And it's quite a little bit the future, I think, in my view. It's ability to think out of the box, to provide solutions that are not only new but also fun. I think it's going to be quite important. Yes.
So look, as a digital first business, has the last year been BAU for you?
Well, I think, I don't know, but for us, no, definitely not BAU. I think last year it felt more like a roller coaster, to be honest, inevitably, right? So I would say, though, let me put it this way, it's almost, I could say, it was a tale of two cities. So on one side, some part of what we did were very BAU. So as a digital business, we are not impacting the way we work. Working from home was quite normal for us. The next day, we decided, okay, tomorrow we work from home. Everybody was happy. So we didn't have to mobilize a huge transformation program or all of a sudden to move things to the cloud. This was all kind of there. The other thing that was part of the BAU side of things is how we operate, in terms of how we lend, our customer relationship, our customer communication was exactly the same. Nothing changed. In fact, it accelerated. That for us has been an incredible year in that respect. It's been a huge acceleration of digital adoption. So more and more customers were really eager and happy to get a mortgage online. And we didn't have to change anything. That how we operate doesn't require meetings, doesn't require paperwork. So a little bit more of the same in a way. So let's say that the BAU part means that we have not, it didn't impact our business model, the way we operate, the way we work, and the way we bring the team together. I think the part that was a little bit less BAU was about the fact that we are part of the economic environment. The property market was on hold for 5 months. Capital markets went crazy, so investors were a bit worried. So clearly we had to be a little bit cautious, right? But it was almost incredible to see how our core operations were, not impacted at all.
In terms of the culture, what opportunities do you think we've stumbled across over the course of the last year?
You mean opportunities for a team,
Yeah, I mean, look, I say that. Obviously, the last year has been really, really difficult. Okay, but to give you an example of where I'm coming from with this, I would say that whilst we communicated brilliantly locally in the business that I worked in, we didn't collaborate brilliantly across geographies as a global organisation, and we've gotten a lot better at that, actually, over the course of 2020.
Wow. Yes, I think that's a very good point that you're making. So. Being remote, in a way, what I noticed from a cultural point of view is the following. So because you're not every day in a room together and you are remote, then we all needed to make a proactive communication and over-communicate in a way. And all of a sudden, it didn't really matter where you were based. So to your point, we used to meet everybody in the morning in our office. All of a sudden, nobody was meeting anymore, but we were actually meeting virtually. And you could be based in China, to be honest. It didn't make a difference. So I think last year, what it did, it made the world smaller, because everybody was communicating online, so everybody could access everything. Even on a personal basis, you could do a birthday party online and invite everybody in the world. So I think there's a massive opportunity of bringing teams together at the level playing field and unite companies, right? So for me, that should stay, and we should not forget what we learned in terms of the lesson. I do think that we are human, so there are some aspects that we lacked a bit, right? So we are feeling also that in our team. So at the end, it's also nice to get together for a drink. And not only is nice, but it does create some good, positive culture and relationships that go a little bit beyond. So, of course, you can try to maintain that, and we did. But I think that part, I hope we can kind of go back there at a certain point.
You mentioned the opportunities to get together and have a drink, okay? And yeah, we absolutely are human. What do you think might happen when we're actually able to see each other again?
Yeah, so it's super interesting because, so I think there will be a few things that happen, in my view. So there will be some behaviors and some of the things that we're doing now that probably will not change, or will not go back to what they were. And I think we learn to appreciate that some things can be done different, and I don't think we will go back. So things like how you work in an office. So I think the whole office dynamics will be different. I don't think we will go back to having, every day, everybody in the office with a lot of desks and so on. I think we shouldn't, because we all learned that you can actually work from home very flexibly, and it's fine. And I don't think we'll go back there. There will be a new way of working together, new office environments, probably more for collaboration rather than for individual work. But then there will be other things where I think we absolutely bounce back to the old normal. Let me put it that way. Things like social life. I think everybody's desperate to go back and kind of meet with friends, go for dinner, going for drinks. I think we go back to normality. We'll even forget that we spent 1 year not going to the pub, right?
Yeah. No, it's interesting you say that. I was walking through deserted Waterloo about a week ago, and it was almost beginning to feel normal. But I said to my wife, I think the first time I walk into a crowded room, it might feel quite bizarre, but I think very, very quickly it will feel normal again.
Yes. Yeah, I think we will probably maintain for a little bit some cautious around hygiene and washing our hands. This is difficult to forget, but eventually we will get back to where we were a bit.
Yeah. Hey, like you said, you're Italian. I can't imagine an Italian not wanting to be gregarious and out having drinks and food.
Yeah. That's very difficult, David. Let me tell you, it's very difficult. Yeah. So, in fact, in Italy, last summer already, there was a lot of, everybody did everything as normal, which didn't help, but...
No. Look, lastly, I wanted to talk about leadership with you. What do you think makes you a CEO? Putting the title to one side, what does it mean to be a CEO?
Okay. What does it mean to be a CEO? I think a CEO of a company like us, where you're actually, I feel more the founder than the CEO, to be honest, is probably different than a huge company like, I don't know, GE of a big bank, right? So for me, being a CEO means three things. So one is to be the depositor of the vision. That is number one. So as you build a company, as you develop, as you grow, it's very easy to have a lot of pressures and to kind of focus on the short term. And I think for me, I feel I need to be the one that always keep everybody focused on the big thing, right? So the vision ahead. Because otherwise you can stop at every shiny object that you meet around in this, at the next corner, but you go nowhere. So I think it's number one, a CEO should be the depositor of the vision and the one that aligns everybody behind that vision proactively, right? It doesn't happen by itself. Second, I think it's important to also be aware. I think a CEO is also probably the chief troubleshooter in the company, because that's what I probably spend most of my time doing. At the end, everything that needs to be sorted out, or every issue, the emergency of the day, you need to find a way to sort it out and help. I see it as my duty as well, to be the one that helps other people to be doing their job and solves problems for them, right? It takes away hurdles that they might meet in their journey. And last but not least, I think you need to be almost a little bit the chief entertainment officer as well, because it's about motivation. It's about making sure the team stay motivated, stay aligned, keeps seeing the big picture, but also has fun together. We spend so much time working that it's not just about work anymore. It's about growing and developing a team that is where the sum of all the people is bigger than the sum of the parts, right? So for me, this comes a lot with making sure everybody stays motivated and we also play hard, but also have fun together.
Just a quick one. You said that you're possibly more co-founder than you are CEO, but the two are subtly different, right?
Are they? So, yeah, no, they are. They are. So, yeah, and the reality, I think, if you founded a company, you always will feel it mostly as a founder. And actually, sometimes disconnecting the two is difficult. So, for me, a founder really feels that company is his baby, and you are all over it. Sometimes maybe too much. So, but you really want to make sure that everything goes well, and that you will do whatever it takes to make it a success. And you have no limits in doing that. No limits in terms of time that you dedicate, no limits in terms of the ideas that you can come up with. I think a CEO, if you think about it, is more of a manager, right? So it's more of a making sure that there is a machine that works to deliver against that. So doing both, in my view, is the best of the world. We can, all of us making sure you have the manager-in-chief that is also the visionary-in-chief, right?
Yeah.
But, so I couldn't distinguish the two right now, but I know that I feel more as a fan. I think.
I totally get what you're saying. I suppose my point is that maybe some of the traits that make you a great co-founder and founder don't necessarily always make you the best CEO. So as a CEO of a modern digital business, what do you think you've had to work on? If you're being really honest, what do you think you've had to work on as a CEO?
Well, I think I'm always working on something, and I believe that I always have to learn, and we all always have to learn, and I like to learn. Otherwise, it gets very boring after a while. So, what do I need? So far, I think the CEO and co-founder really coincide very well at the very early stage of the company, because that's where the two things are 100% overlapping. I think as the company grows and you have more people that come into the team, great people and capable, then you need to delegate. That's the first difficulty, okay? So you need to let go a bit, and because otherwise it's not sustainable, you cannot do it. So for me, that was one of the things. I mean, I ran big teams before in big banks, bigger than Molo, but I was not the co-founder, so I didn't have that affection. So I think the problem here is that what I had to learn is to step back from some things and let other people manage it, knowing that, of course, we kind of work together, but knowing that I could not be involved anymore in everything. And you need to let go a bit of the decision-making as well.
The last thing I'd ask you talked about kind of, I suppose, vision and entertainment and keeping a company going, that empowerment of your staff. This year's been particularly difficult with people being isolated, working on their own, not having that social interaction. What would be your one tip? What would be the thing that you would pass on to other would-be co-founders or founders and CEOs about the best way that you've found to help empower your staff?
The best way. I think there are several things, David, so let me try to focus. So, well, I think first for me, empowering the team comes from making sure everybody is aligned. Sorry to repeat that, but on the vision. So making sure at all times everybody sees the big picture. Because if you don't, and if you want to build a mission-driven company, which I think is the core to make sure people are motivated and empowered, then you need to make sure that at all times, everybody is not just looking at their silo or the task of the day, but knows that that's a small step for they're working for something bigger than them. That is, in my view, critical and fundamental. So you need to know that they're part of a team and everything they're doing is bigger than the single person. So making sure everybody has the big picture at all times is important. I think second, I would say is communication. So communication is key. So, and sometimes it's difficult because you're running from one thing to the other, you really don't have time, but not everybody knows what's happening. And so making sure that you convey the status of the situation in an authentic way, transparent, but also positive in a way, through communication, different form of communication is very important. And then I think just ownership. So allowing people to, once they know where we're going, I think believing that they will know better how to get there. So for me, there's a big difference between the what and the how, right? So we need to be aligned on what we want to do, but then I trust the team that they might know better than me in some areas how to get there and let them do it, right? So that for me has been quite critical.
Francesca, I want to thank you for sharing your insight on the last year, on leadership, on culture, future skills. It's been fascinating to have your time today, so thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me. It's been very, very great discussion, and look forward to talking again soon.
And look, if you've enjoyed this episode of In Conversation, it's the fourth one that we've posted. So we've got 3 other episodes that you can dive into right now on harveynashgroup.com.